Welcome back to Combust Astrology. My name's Liv. Let's go ahead and dive into the partial lunar eclipse this full moon. It's going to be in Pisces. So, starting off, we're going to talk about three major things in this eclipse. The first one being the actual moon and sun full moon. The second part being the Mars aspecting Saturn, Mars aspecting, well, the nodes and the grand Earth trine that is there, along with a hint of a razzle dazzle of the Venus and Jupiter, both in air signs. So, getting started here, let's talk about that moon. So, we see that it's in Pisces. That's very obvious. What's around it? Saturn and Neptune. While the both are retrograded, the moon being the emotional position where you are at right now in this current moment, while Saturn, the harsh reality of what is around you. Remember, Saturn being in Pisces is removing delusion. Neptune being the ability to take in consumption of media, religious outlooks, myth, and or delusion, you know. It's also retrograde. So the two, Saturn and Neptune together, is kind of like, when I think about it, the angel and the devil on your shoulders. And the angel would be Neptune. The devil would be Saturn, or white or black, whatever you want to call it. It's a polarity. And the two of them are speaking into the ear or the moon, the emotions, about what it is that we should and shouldn't accept, what it is that the current situation is. Saturn is sitting here and saying, you know, screw them, or, you know, this whole situation could have been avoided, or, it sucks, but you deserve it. It's a whole lot of negativity. But at the same time, there is some harsh truth to it. Because the reality is you are where you are right now because of the actions or decisions that you've taken in the past. The circumstances of where you are right now could be something that is against your will, but at some point in time, you saw the flags, right? The Neptune speaking into this is very much like, I'm just going to use red and green, is very much like, oh, well, it's not your fault. Well, you're the victim. Well, we don't actually have to address it. Well, we can just move on. Well, it never really mattered anyway. It could be a little bit clingy. It could want to go back. When I look at the retrogrades in this chart, they're both trying to address the past and how you feel about it. And so the moon having these two polar energies in your ear, how you feel, is really, really daunting. Now, if we think about that and we look at the opposition of Saturn, we get Mercury. So we have Saturn in Pisces versus Mercury in Virgo. The ability to sit in delusion by thinking too much about what has happened is the way that I look at this direct opposition. Because the logic is down here and it's saying you're just going to have to do what you got to do. But the looking back at what's been happening is trying to chess move the past that doesn't exist anymore. The sun is opposing the moon, obviously, but also it's opposing Neptune. The sun here with Neptune, where Neptune is like, hey, we still have some time left. You don't have to make the decision today. we don't really have to say what's going on. It's a bit tricky because if you think about it, it's like two pairs of something that is really saying the same thing, but it's pulling you between two worlds. The way that the Neptune and Saturn are affecting you emotionally, and the Sun and Mercury logically are outside of your shoulders or outside of the house, let's say, it would literally be a physical reality that is happening. And I'm going to take that emphasis on physical reality because they're Earth placements, right? But this could be an actual situation that's presenting itself to you that requires you to forget about that past of what these two are sitting here and telling you you don't need to forget, right? To make matters more dramatic, things are really heightened right now emotionally. It's not just an easy let go. You have this T square with the nodes happening right now, and it's like a pressure cooker. You got Mars in Cancer, a position where it doesn't want to be in naturally. I'm not going to give it a planetary dignity or whatever, but it's just that it's a fire hydrant. A lot of feels. South Node wanting to have that same balance that was presented itself, and the North Node saying, I need to make a decision. It's a pressure cooker, right? Both of these ends are applying energy right now to this Mars in Cancer. And I can say after doing a few readings already and having a few clients, a lot of people are making very hasty decisions out of love, a lack thereof love, or a feeling of not having success or comfort in what it is that they need. And I look at these two as the Mars and the Libra with the Cancer. Now is not the time to make that hasty decision. Now is the time to address your emotion. Now is the time for acceptance because of the moon. That is the biggest thing in this chart right now, right? Things could feel amazing if you've dealt with the issues that you've already had to deal with. Because if you have, then all you're doing is having some nostalgic memory. And with that, you're probably tapping in way more to the Jupiter and the Venus. It's a beautiful synastry right here. That trine, gorgeous, especially if you have air placements right now. Your rising is obviously going to determine how it affects you in your own house, but looking at this beautiful trine, I think to myself, wow, what an amazing time to reflect on all the amazing memories of the life you've built, whether it's with a partner or partners in the past. You really want to be able to say it is what it is, the matters have finished, and we can go through that. Because the outcome of this full moon is not now. It will be further on towards the end of the month to the start of next month. And it is imperative that you fully make this decision now with this full moon, to move away from that emotion, or else you're going to be trapped in it for a little bit. And lastly, I'm not going to make this too long, the grand earth trine. It's time. It's time for change. And at the end of this grand earth trine, we have the point that is getting that change. It's your emotions. You got to let go. Whatever has happened once again. And ultimately, it is what it is. Allow yourself to transform, to become beautiful, and to become anew. Things are changing for you. And in order to allow them to change, you have to address this. The Chiron here in Aries is crucial in this last bit of cherry on top to me. That sextile that it has to Jupiter. You can think of so many things that would have fixed the issue or made it better, but ultimately, it is what it is. That is all. Hope you enjoy. Take care.